We are sketching the graph of the quadratic function, and we're going to use graphs opens up and down, so we're going to figure that out, the vertex and the intercepts. And our problem for this is f of x is equal to negative x squared minus 4x minus 3. So the first thing that we want to figure out is if the graph opens up or down. To figure that out for part A, we are first going to look at the leading coefficient. Now I'm just writing that as LC rather than writing leading coefficient. Well, we look at what is leading coefficient. It's the number in front of the variable that has the highest degree. In this case, we have a negative x squared. And that negative sign means that we have negative 1 as our leading coefficient. It doesn't really matter the number, so actually what you can do is just write that that is a negative number. The fact that it's negative, it tells us what we need to know. Whether it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, doesn't matter. It's whether it's negative or positive. Because it's negative, that means our graph is going to have ends that both go down. Because we're talking about an x squared, remember that's a parabola, so our ends go down instead of going up. We also know that because we're looking at the degree, right? We have a degree that equals 2, which tells us that it's even. So we can write that down, and through that we figure out what the end behavior is. We were talking about it, so that's how we knew on this one. The second part we're looking at is the vertex. So if we have a vertex, in this case it's written in this format, we're going to use negative b over 2a and the function of negative b over 2a. That is going to be our x and our y. So we need to figure out what our a is and what our b is. So going back to our original function, we know that a is equal to negative 1 and b is equal to negative 4. Because remember, our equations are always written in our ax squared plus bx plus c format. So that's where we get our a, b, and our c. So we're just going to plug it in. So I've got negative 4 over 2 times negative 1, because that's our negative b, or negative b, and b is negative 4, and 2 times our a, which is negative 1. So this will get negative gets us a positive 4, and 2 times negative 1 will get us negative 2. So 4 divided by negative 2 is equal to negative 2. Now we have to find that function. So the function at negative 2, we're going to plug negative 2 into wherever we see our x's. So negative 2 squared minus 4 times negative 2 minus 3. So negative 2 squared, remember every square of negative we're going to get a positive, so that'll get us 4. Negative 4 times negative 2 will be positive 8, and then minus 3. So negative 4 plus 8 minus 3 will equal 1. So that will get us the vertex of negative 2, 1. This is our vertex. Okay. The third part we need to do is find our intercepts. Now we've done intercepts in other problems. So we remember that to find our x-intercept, we're looking at y is equal to 0. And to find our y-intercept, x will equal 0. So we're going to take our equation up here, our f of x, so 0 is same thing as f of x, same thing as y. So we're going to 0 equals negative x squared minus 4x minus 3. Now I prefer not to try to factor with that negative out front, so I am going to multiply both sides by negative 1. Negative 1 times 0 is still 0, but this will change all of our signs here. So we'll get positive x squared plus 4x plus 3. Now, we will factor this with the AC method. You should be able to factor that by now. Remember that we're taking our a times c, which is going to be 3 times 1, which is 3, trying to get to b, which is our 4, listing the factors of 1 and 3. All of our signs are positive. We don't have to worry about signs. 1 times 3 gets us 3. 1 plus 3 gets us 4. That's what we're looking for. Because we have a 1 out front, we can go straight to our parentheses. If we had something other than that, we'd have to factor it a little bit more. we have x plus 1 and x plus 3. That's our numbers here coming over here in our factors. All right, remember this is set equal to 0, so we're just solving these. So we've got x plus 1 equal to 0 and x plus 3 equal to 0. And we do not need our parenthesis there. I'm going to take that off. So we're going to subtract 1. We get x equal to negative 1. Subtract 3. We get x equal to negative 3. So this gives us a point. These are intercepts. We got negative 1, 0, and negative 3, 0. Those are our x-intercepts. Now to do our y-intercept, we're going to plug in 0 wherever x was in our equation. So we're going to have f of x, same thing as y. So y equals negative 0 squared minus 4 times 0 minus 3. Well, that's going to just disappear because they're zeros, right? 0 won't change anything when we go to add. So we get y equal to negative 3. So this point, x equals 0, y equals negative 3. All right, so at this point, we can graph. We've done all three. We've done A, B, and C of our problem. So now we're going to graph because that was the thing that we were instructed to do. All right, we can see that we're going to need up to negative 3, so not too many hash marks. You can put on there as many as you want. Try and evenly space them. So first thing we're going to do is our vertex. Our vertex was negative 2 and 1, so that's going to be right there. Now we have our x-intercepts are negative 1 and 0 and negative 3 and 0. Remember, we've talked in class about parabola, because we know what this is. It's an even degree. We talked about it being a parabola. This will then create a parabola, and it always has that triangle happening. The other intercept we have is going to hit right here, so that'll give us an idea where our graph is going to come down to. So it's going to kind of come down through there, and then the other side will kind of follow the same thing because it is a parabola and it has where it reflects in the middle. All right.